you. Wes, you have a lot of conversations with partners, MSPs, IT practitioners, et cetera. And there, what Phyllis laid out was, we talked so far about CIS, we've talked CSF. There is confusion, for practitioners. And maybe I could just, if I could have you put your InfoSec hat on, why is it? And, what might be helpful for MSPs and practitioners to take away from this?
So first, I love Phyllis, the fog of more. I've never heard that before. I'm like, oh, that is so true. And if ever there's an industry that struggles with that, it's MSPs having to juggle so many, and more to come. So yeah, let me illustrate it this way, Andrew. If you've ever talked to an MSP and they say something like, I don't understand why we have so many frameworks that are out there, or they say, I just think that CSF is better for me. It just makes more sense to me. Those are like key trigger words that you should listen to say, I understand the plight of an MSP of having to, like, for the first time, grasp and understand these controls, not only to map them to their own organization, but also to learn how to apply them inside of all of their clients. And, what's interesting, I've known, I have many friends in the federal government, and especially dealing with federal regulators and financial services, they rarely tell you exactly how to do something, but they're quick to tell you what you should be doing. Like this is very common. Every year they come in about, you should be thinking about these things. Okay, well, give me some guidance on how we should do that. Well, that's not for me to say. I'm with the government. That's not my job. And you actually see that play out a little in the CSF, if I can pick on them for a minute. So I love it. CSF is awesome. But if you ever heard an MSP, again, go back to this whole, like, it seems like they tell me all these things I should be doing, but how do I do it? It's I'm missing that. And it seems confusing to me. And it seems difficult to approach. It seems like, Phyllis, you said, this fog that's out there. Like, how do I get through it all? And that's because it's very good at defining the objectives, but it doesn't actually outline the controls that should be in place. And that's intentional, right? The federal government doesn't want to get in a position of telling you, generally speaking, ye shall do these exact things. And then they look at CIS and the critical controls, and it's like everything opens up. It's like, the fog is cleared and it's a bright day, and they get it because it's like, oh, finally, someone tells me these are the things I should do. And in these implementation groups, I can swallow that. I can do that. And that's where I think both of them go hand in hand. If you really want to understand the objectives, what we're trying to accomplish, CSF is really good at that. If you want to see the controls in place to get there, CIS is good at that. Let me give you just a quick illustration and then I'll finish. Is think about, let's say I want to go on a vacation to Florida, right? That's my objective. My objective is I want to get out of wherever I'm at in the cold, and I want to go down south. I want to sit on a beach and, enjoy my nice vacation. That's my objective. I want to get there. And I might say inside of that objective, I'm going to drive, not fly. I'm going to go at this time and I'm going to leave at this time. I'm going to stay at this hotel. But I still don't know how to get there. Like, what's the pathway to get there? I don't just get in the car and like go south, right? So how do I get south? Well, going south might be, maybe I pull up the GPS on my phone. It actually gives me the direction step by step to get there. And maybe that's a crude analogy, but that's a really good way of kind of thinking, in my mind, the use of both of these frameworks as we approach security, and they both have their place. And I think once you understand that, it begins to make much more sense of how you apply each of them in their due time.